let's talk about Mr. Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles has not spoken to the media since London, which has been a minute. It's been about 5 weeks up to this point. And, you know, it's somebody who we're going to Monday morning quarterback this thing. I know, but that's what happens in sports. What have you done for me lately? You look at everything he's accomplished in his time here as a Bears general manager. It has been bad. I don't think you can say with a straight face that it's been bad, but he's had some questionable moves. We saw his first move, which I questioned from the jump, the Larry Ogunjobi signing, which ended up not going through because of a failed physical. You've got, you know, the big trade that kind of is like his big joker, I guess, that he's actually the big things accomplished, which got DJ Moore, which got the pick to end up being Caleb Williams and things like that. You got the Nate Davis signing, which they should have cut him a long time ago. He just got cut this week. I didn't bring that up. That's how crazy a week it was. That story went under the radar. His love for Velus Jones, who they had that whole little Hard Knocks segment where they found it so hard to not keep him. He fumbles week one. We don't see him again. Then he decided to cut him months later. So it kind of feels like, I don't want to say he's done a bad job. I feel like that would be Monday morning quarterbacking too much.
Don't leave Chase Claypool out.
Dog, Chase Claypool. I forget about that. Chase Claypool. That's another one. But it's starting to feel like outside of that big trade, he's had more misses than he's had hits. And with the way stuff still's going on right now, the way that stuff is picking up, and I think it's going to get worse from here, it's kind of feeling like, hey, he might be on the should this guy go? You know, so my question you heard is, do you trust Ryan Poles, if you even trust him to begin with?
Yeah, I've trusted him for most of the time that he's been here, and I've been aligned with his big picture plan. Right, he comes in, he recognizes he's got an aging roster, the cap is messed up. He's like, for better or worse, we got to tear this thing down. Now, that was terribly unfair to the previous quarterback to tear the team down, you know, in his first year as a starter, right? But that's what had to be done. So he tears it down, and you try to get improvement in the next year. And so you say, we only got DJ Moore. Let me go out here and let's bring in Chase Claypool. Let's send a second-round pick to Pittsburgh for this dude who everybody knows has been a head case, has been emotionally and mentally fragile and independable. The Steelers don't let go of young talent, man. So when they do, that should be a huge red flag to you. Yeah. But the Bears have dipped into that bag a couple times. They went and got Artie Burns to play corner. The Steelers let him go. He was like 24, 25 years old. If Mike Tomlin don't want you this athletic corner at 24, you probably don't want him either. If Mike Tomlin don't want this 25-year-old receiver he looks like he should be a monster, you probably don't want him either. But you send a second-round pick over there, and it's just like, man, I saw Mike Tomlin at the owners' meetings in Orlando in March or April, whenever it was. And I was like, man, you got to get excited every time you see the Bears name pop up on your call ID, don't you, man? It's like, because by that point they had Justin Fields, you know, for the 6th round pick. They had Chase Claypool. It's like, man, you got to be happy every time you see them on your phone, man. And he just kind of give you one of them little sly little laughs, like, man, you know what I mean? But I think that, you know, Ryan Poles is certainly taking some big swings and misses. And this Nate Davis thing was the latest. And the problem is, right, that just like Chase Claypool, these red flags were there before. Like, you don't got to look at this in hindsight and say, dude probably wasn't a good guy. His previous head coach told you, even though he can play, we letting him go because we like dudes that practice and want to be on the team.
Thank you.
I ain't giving you $30 million for that. Guaranteed $20 million for that. And when Flus came to the post-game press conference last week, and he was like, oh, well, he showed up and he had a back, and Doc Dre checked him out. And so we, you know, ruled him out and sent him home because we want him to stand on the sideline with a back. I'm like, dude, stand on the sidelines with knees and necks and everything. Like, he can't stand on the sideline. I think that as soon as he said that, I was like, man, either he came to the stadium that day and they told him, yo, you up this week because we need you. And he's like, no, I ain't been up for the past, few weeks. I ain't up this week either. And so they just sent him home, or he just called and told he wasn't coming. Like, either way, he's been like that since he's got here. And so that was just another big swing and a big miss for Ryan Poles. Ultimately, the only decision that matters is the decision he made at quarterback. If that works, he'll be here for a decade. If that doesn't work, and I don't know how long it's going to take to evaluate whether or not that works. Like some people trying to evaluate that 9 weeks in. It's like, slow down, right? Like, be cool. Right. Even though I was for the previous quarterback, like, it's like, be cool. You know what I'm saying?
It takes a minute. Even if it's next year, I mean, we're getting to an hour too, but CJ Stroud, like, he's making some mistakes. So, you know, it takes a minute to really evaluate.
Yeah, it's gonna take a minute. He's gonna get through his rookie contract. Now, whether or not Poles does, that's going to depend on if this thing looks like it's going the right way. And, you know, prior to the offense looking bad, Caleb regressing, Nate Davis being who Nate Davis is, and then all of these issues popping up on the offensive line, which he hasn't really addressed other than giving Nate Davis $20 million. Like, drafted Darnell Wright 10 last year. And so as those issues pop up, this fire has gotten closer and closer to Poles. Prior to that, he's been kind of like insulated from it. It was like, oh, it goes up to Flus, and then you still think that Ryan Poles is good. Coming into the season, I think I did a piece and I was talking about Matt Eberflus as the only question mark remaining in their structure, right? I was like, I feel pretty confident that Kevin Warren is good at his job. I said, I feel pretty confident that Ryan Poles is good at his job. I feel pretty confident that they have a solid roster. The only thing I'm not 100% sure about is if Flus is a good coach. I like the dude. I appreciate the way he navigated some tumultuous waters last year, but he was the question mark. And now that question mark is getting closer and closer to the GM's office, and I think rightfully so.
Mikey, do you trust Ryan Poles?
Oh, man. Like 50-50. He's like, he's like that cousin that he got a little bit of a bad habit, but you still invite him to your crib, but you got to watch him just to make sure that he don't, go into your drawers, or, you don't got a pair of Jordan 3s missing out the box. Like,
check your baseball card collection and all that.
That's where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying? Got to hide the
I almost
PS5
named something, but I forgot some of my family watched the show, so I'm gonna keep
I almost did the same too. Shout out to my uncle. But listen, like, we all have, people like that in our lives. That's kind of like, I trust you, but I could only trust you as far as I could throw you. I think that's where I'm getting at right now, just because of, kind of everything that Herb hit on, just kind of the lack of resources thrown into the O-line. Really it was Nate Davis, and that was somebody with a red flag, and Darnell Wright. And I think we all can sit here and honestly say that Darnell Wright has regressed this year. And who does that fall on? So there has to be a real conversation about Poles. At the end of the day, he chose to upgrade the quarterback position, right? When you upgrade, you do it with the best intention of getting the best, like, right? Like when you study hard, it's allegedly, when you study hard, it's to move that C to a B, to move that B to an A, right? So why was he so comfortable and adamant saying, I'm getting this A+ quarterback, I'm getting this A+ wide receiver in DJ Moore, I'm getting this A- in Keenan Allen? Well, why are you not trying to get that A at head coach? And that is kind of, that's where I'm at. This all falls on him. Eberflus's failures fall on Ryan Poles at this moment because they're married together. And eventually, if it continues to go down this path, he's going to have to start separating himself from him.
Dante, man, do you trust Ryan Poles anymore?
I mean, as somebody who started the season 10, I really trusted him. In hindsight, I really can't, because it's like, he's made moves and some of the moves have been effective, but they haven't been at the key positions where you need to really build your team. And that's something that, he's failed at consistently. I haven't given up hope on Darnell Wright like everybody else, but Braxton Jones looks like he needs to be replaced. We already know about the entire interior. So with me, I can't sit here and say I fully trust you when, at the end of the day, you haven't really made the moves. Like, we were excited, but when you started, like, I know hindsight, you said Monday morning quarterback, hindsight is 2020 type shit, but nah, bro, I can't sit here and say and say I trust you fully when I've watched you ignore the premier positions that we need help at outside of quarterback, of course.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah, we
Paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gon' hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gon' hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gon' hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not